President Joe Biden decided to release 1 million of barrels per day from the U.S. Reserve to push gas prices down. However, it looks like it's going to take a while until we actually see the difference at the pumps. Here, the Pampushky is based on Ukraine's tradition, from its recipe to the sunflower shape that is a symbol of peace. What once was a regular white wall now is full of colors, and the best part of it is that the community is responsible for painting it. 100 of these new e-bikes are available for riders in Champaign-Urbana. They are electric and they can go up to 50 miles an hour. These hearts are posted outside the Public Health Department in Champaign to represent people who died due to COVID-19. Everybody who lost someone can come here and personalize it in honor of them. Movie lovers from all over the country will be reunited in Champaign for the 22nd Ebertfest. Starting next Wednesday, the film festival returns to its annual in-person edition at the Virginia Theater. The event has a schedule full of award-winning movies, discussion with filmmakers, and music presentations.
We usually have about 12 movies every festival. This time we have 4 musical performances that are integrated into the festival. And a lot of the movies are about either comedy or about music. So we wanted to return with a kind of a joyous event.
The list includes Soy Cubana by Jeremy Younger, Nightmare Alley by Guillermo del Toro, the documentary Summer of Soul, and a silent movie that will be screened along with a full live orchestra. The Virginia Theater is all ready to receive the public. The space was recently renovated.
Then during COVID, when we were shut down, we put in a new state-of-the-art sound system and a new climate control system for the auditorium. So that was a pretty big project. Both of those were pretty big projects.
Despite all excitement of having the festival back, one unfortunate news. The comedian Gilbert Gottfried, one of the headline guests, passed away this week.
We are devastated after talking to him for so long and looking forward so much to have him with us at the festival. So we're dedicating the whole festival to the memory of Gilbert Gottfried this year.
I'm just doing anything to avoid my regular act, which I'm so tired of.
Bagels, cakes, croissants, and loaves open up space for a new item that had just been added to the menu, Pampushky. This Ukrainian garlic bread is now an opportunity to help people that left the country because of the war.
We are selling Pampushky for $20 each, and 100% of that sale, all $20, is going to benefit the International Rescue Committee.
The committee is an organization that is in Poland supporting Ukrainian refugees with essential supplies and psychological care. Miranda says they are happy to beg for such an important cause.
It's a wonderful benefit to be able to give back to not only our community but to the global community. We love being able to benefit all of the people of the world, not just our small town. The sunflower is Ukraine's national flower and has become a symbol of strength and unity in Ukraine, so we wanted to model it after that.
The goal is to sell 500 Pampushky, which sum up a total of $10,000 in donations.
We've currently sold 126. We are matching the first $10,000 in donations, which would be 500. So we are just going to stop when we hit our goal.
Today on UI7 Live, Champaign City Council approves a bill for UIPD officers to help Champaign police.
By having the UIPD take over that jurisdiction, that would then free up the Champaign police officers to handle high priority calls across the rest of the community.
Officer Timothy T. Tyler selected as the next Champaign police chief.
Mask mandates lifted on CUMTD.
And U of I alum Terrell Starr returns to campus to share his experiences reporting in Ukraine.
This and more starting right now on UI7 Live. Good morning and welcome to UI7 Live. I'm Maddie Chemers. Today is Thursday, April 21st.
And I'm Gabby Hyduk. We have the latest news in Champaign County for you today.
But before we get into it, let's take a first look at the weather with Alec Bussey.
Good morning, Gabby. Let's get into a quick look at the weather this morning. After a damp night with about 0.4 of an inch of rain, we do look at about 60 degrees this morning. It is pretty overcast, but the sun is starting to poke through a little bit. If you're walking to class, taking your dog for a walk, or wherever you may be going, you might want a light jacket in case it starts to drizzle a little bit. I will be back later with a hint at what's ahead this weekend, which includes some warmer temperatures.
The Champaign City Council voted Tuesday to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the Champaign Police and the University of Illinois Police Department. UI7's Patrick Catazone has more on what this agreement means for campus police.
The University of Illinois Police Department will now have more area to cover, thanks to an agreement that was approved with a unanimous vote on Tuesday night at the Champaign City Council meeting.
Yes, Council bill passes 9-0. Please call the next bill.
The UIPD will now be the primary call taker throughout campus town, whereas before they were primarily responsible for campus. The extension will be to Springfield Avenue on the north side, Wright Street on the east side, Neal Street on the west side, and Windsor Road on the south side. Champaign's communication manager, Jeff Hamilton, said this will be a big relief to the Champaign Police Department.
By having the UIPD take over that jurisdiction, that would then free up the Champaign police officers to handle high priority calls across the rest of the community.
With the incoming expansion, the city of Champaign will be providing $1,852,000 to the University Police Department to hire 7 new officers to help cover the expansion. UIPD spokesman Patrick Wade said that alone is the biggest challenge.
Getting the new officers hired and trained up is going to be a challenge, but it's certainly something that we can take on.
The main difference is call-taking responsibilities for the area, and Wade is confident that UIPD is ready for the expansion.
Being a university police department, our officers are really attuned to the unique needs of University of Illinois students. So I think they're going to do a really great job of policing this area because it's a population that they already know and they're comfortable with.
The change officially goes into effect October 1st and will last a minimum of 2 years with an option for a third year. UI7 Live, I'm Patrick Catazone.
The agreement between UIPD and the Champaign Police Department has been in the works since the fall because the Champaign City Police Department is understaffed by 19 officers. They are working on filling those vacancies.
Timothy T. Tyler has been named the next police chief of Champaign. Tyler served as the director and chief of police for the Illinois Department of Natural Resources before accepting the position in Champaign. Previously, he had been a police officer and sergeant with the Markham, Illinois Police Department. He also has more than 30 years of military experience. Tyler will start on June 6th.
Parkland College is also getting a new police chief. The Parkland Board of Trustees appointed Troy Daniels to replace former police chief Matt Kottman. Daniels has been on duty for 34 years, with 24 in the Champaign Police Department. Daniels will start immediately.
We have new footage of a recent violent incident in front of the Red Line Bar in Champaign, thanks to CU Citizen Access, which obtained the video from a Freedom of Information Act request. We will not be showing the entire incident on air, which took place on March 5th. This is moments after the event happened. Police say a woman punched a man who was working security at the campus bar. The police description says he, quote, took the female to the ground, creating lacerations to the female's head. As we see in this video, patrons of the bar and other security began to crowd around the entrance and emergency services were called. The woman was then transported to a local hospital for treatment. For the full story, visit our website, ui7newsroom.com.
Turning to COVID news, Champaign County's risk level just increased from low to medium. Champaign County is the only county in the state in the medium category. All others are still considered low. At the University of Illinois, 580 new cases have been reported in the last week. 448 of those cases come from undergraduate students. The 7-day positivity rate on campus sits at 3.92%, a slight decrease from the week before.
On Tuesday, CUMTD announced that masks are now optional on MTD vehicles, buses, and other facilities. This comes shortly after a Florida judge ruled that the travel mask mandate was unlawful. Since that ruling, many states started updating their mask guidelines to match this court ruling. Illinois is one of them. On Wednesday, Governor J.B. Pritzker lifted the mask mandate in the state. Now, masks are no longer required on any public transit, including in airports and train stations.
Just 2 days after a Florida judge appealed the original mandate, the CDC is now asking the Justice Department to reverse that decision. The CDC feels masking up is still necessary to protect the public from spreading the virus. If the courts decide to follow the CDC's request, masks will be required in public transportation areas once again.
The Museum of the Grand Prairie in Mahomet is set to open a new exhibit in May. A History of Healing focuses on epidemics and how Champaign County worked to defeat them. It will tell stories from different people who had dealt with infectious diseases like smallpox, malaria, typhoid, cholera, tuberculosis, and influenza.
And then we'll talk about polio, and then we will also talk about COVID and AIDS. So all of those things have affected the people of Champaign County as well as the whole country.
The exhibit will open on May 21st. Admission is free to the general public.
Now, switching to U of I news, the undergraduate library is closing its doors at the end of the semester. It is transitioning into an archives and special collections building. Student study spaces will expand into the main library, Granger Library, and the Funk Aces Library on campus. This new special collection center will serve as a home to the university's large collection of archival material and records. It will also serve as a learning space for students.
I have a student advisory committee, and one doctoral student brings her classes to the rare book room, and right now the instructional space can only hold about 15 people. We'll have a very large instructional space, and it will be, all of this will be better for students, for scholars, for people who use those materials.
The Special Collections Building will officially open in January 2025. As the materials transfer over to the UGL area, more and more services will become available to students in other libraries on campus.
Viral journalist Terrell Jermaine Starr visited his alma mater this week. Starr has been independently covering the war in Ukraine from the ground. Starr held a Q&A on Tuesday to tell students and faculty about his experiences covering the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He also spoke with several college and media classes, educating young journalists. Starr has provided first-person reporting on his Twitter page since the beginning of the war. He has also been featured on several news outlets to give exclusive information. Starr earned 2 master's degrees from U of I in 2009. U of I graduation is a little under 4 weeks away. While graduating college is a time for students to be proud of their accomplishments, it comes with emotions of fear and anxiety about life after college. Those feelings are commonly referred to as senioritis, something that many seniors are dealing with right now.
Gonzalo Higuero is one of those seniors being hit with senioritis. As Higuero deals with plans for post-grad life, his motivation for school is dwindling.
Especially these past few weeks, I've realized it's been a little bit harder to get out of bed for class. I've noticed that I've been starting my assignments a little bit later.
Higuero is a business student at Illinois who also works as an RA on campus. Between work, school, and trying to maintain a social life, each semester has become increasingly busy. With the added stress of post-graduation life, Higuero is struggling to find a balance.
Sometimes schoolwork has taken a backseat more towards adult responsibilities or just general fun things that I want to do before I start in the real world.
James Castry is the assistant director at the Career Center on campus. He's noticed that many students are dealing with senioritis, especially due to pressure to have post-grad plans.
I think it's legit. I think it's real. I think that, some of the conversations I've had with my own students in my own appointments, they come in talking about, either the job hunt or this interview they've got coming up, but then that conversation just moves into, hey, I'm feeling stressed right now, and we can acknowledge that.
While the Career Center focuses on helping students create resumes, set up interviews, and apply for jobs, Castry believes it is also a resource for students struggling with the feelings of senioritis. Castry hopes through all of the negative emotions, seniors are still able to take pride in reaching the final stretch.
Just for the seniors, hey, take the time to enjoy the fact that, you do have this accomplishment, this degree from U of I. There's going to be stress, there's going to be unknowns, but there can also be some joy that comes out of that whole messy package together, right?
For those seniors counting, there are 23 days until graduation. Until then, you've got this. When we come back, we will see how people from the community help to paint a mural in Urbana.
Everybody that's come has been really excited about making paintings and putting themselves to work.
And we will have 2 special guests live in studio to tell us how to relieve stress with a therapy chicken.
Weeks ago went and did her very first therapy session somewhere that wasn't here. And
stick around, UI7 Live will be right back.
Urbana Station Theater hosts the cabaret musical to celebrate love. It was fundraising in support of the theater and the Uniting Parade of Champaign County, an organization that advocates for queer communities. This was the theater's first live event since the pandemic started. They are looking forward to hosting more in-person events this spring. Ebertfest is a traditional film festival in Champaign-Urbana, but it hadn't been produced since 2019 due to COVID. To celebrate its comeback, the event features an Oscar-winning movie and other unique experiences for the public. Ebertfest will happen from next Wednesday to Saturday, the 23rd. Tickets and festival passes are available on the website thevirginia.gov. U of I students have a special discount. 10 community-based testing sites in the state will close today after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now people who need to get a COVID test have to find other options. As pleasant as spring break sounds, we also have some unpleasant weather that may be headed our way. Tornado season is coming up, and the Champaign County Emergency Management Agency has some tips to prepare. In Illinois, about 80% of tornadoes occur from April to June. Last year, there were 50 tornadoes reported, resulting in 3 deaths, 17 injuries, and over $12 million in damages. To stay safe, the best shelters are basements or rooms away from windows and doors.